Welcome in, everybody. This is the Nosebleeds with me, Keenan Warner. Shout out Last Word on NFL. Shout out to the Last Word on Sports. Go check out their website. They've got articles, they've got podcasts, they've got all great information on all great sports there. Great content. Go tap in, go watch that. Go read that, go view that. Today is going to be Sundays are going to be the sports betting show. So I'm going to give out today some of my favorite teams to bet for this week. I'm going to give out some of the best anytime touchdown scores that I think. I'm going to give out some other great prop bets of the week every week on Sunday, coming out before the game starts so you can watch them, kind of get some other things in your head, and obviously you can do these throughout the day, place them at any point. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. And the first one that I want to do is Falcons at Jets, going with the Falcons minus 1.5. So we know that the Falcons this year have been a little up, a little bit down, all over the place. But they are playing the Jets. This is not Aaron Rodgers' Jets. This is not Chad Pennington's Jets. This is not Vinny Testaverde's Jets. It's not even Zach Wilson's Jets. This is Tim Boyle's Jets. They have put up 6 points and then 13 points. A total of 19 points against the Bills defense and the Dolphins defense. The Falcons have a good defense, on par easily with the Dolphins. I would say in between the Dolphins and the Bills. And maybe even over close to on par with the Bills just because of the injuries. The healthiest Bills defense is better than the Falcons. But you've got people like Jesse Bates. Obviously, we saw the pick six last week. Completely flipped the game against the Saints. We've also got a Jets team that's allowed 471 rushing yards over the last 4 games. They've also allowed about 150 yards to running backs over the last 4 games. We've seen that Arthur Smith has finally realized, draft this guy pretty high. He's a pretty good player. Let's feature him in the offense. Because we don't even have to throw it to him like we do with Kyle Pitts, who we don't like to feature yet. But we can just hand it to him. That should be turnover free. And they have 38 carries in the last 2 games. He's gone for 95 and then 91. Touchdown in each. Got receiving touchdown as well. Bijan's been moving. Bijan's been cooking. So, I just don't see how the Falcons can't get to 20. They can get a couple touchdowns, a couple field goals. Young Hoku has been on point this year. So they can get into the red zone. I understand that Jets defense has been good, but you can get to 20 on them. I don't know if the Jets can get to 16. All you have to do is win this game 18-16 and you cover. It's nothing crazy. I'm not expecting Tim Boyle to lead multiple touchdown drives. I don't believe they'll get into the red zone 5 times or field goal range 5 times. I think this team caps out at 16, and all you have to do as a Falcons player, as a Falcons fan, is hope that they can get to 18. 18. I just don't see how it doesn't happen. I think that that's too easy right now, especially with how it is. It's only 1.5. They're on the road. I get it's on the road, but still, running travels. I don't believe the weather is going to be great today either. I believe it's supposed to be raining there in East Rutherford. It's perfect. It's set up. It is set up for the Falcons to go get a W, try to still lead in the division with the Bucs playing the Panthers. You've got the Saints playing Detroit. This is set up for you to win this game. You need this game, and it's the Jets. And only a 1.5, I've got to take that. That is my first bet of the week. It is Falcons over Jets, Falcons minus 1.5. I think that I don't see how that one misses. I personally don't see how that misses. Number 2, I'm going to go down. We're going to go to Lambeau. Patty Mahomes has not played in Lambeau yet. I'm going with KC -6 in Lambeau. And you could think that with how well the Green Bay Packers have been playing as of late, Jordan Love's been playing great, 5 TDs, no turnovers last couple games. You could think with how that defense has been playing well. They got obviously a big win, and they're on extra days rest with them beating Detroit on Thanksgiving. But the Chiefs, they possibly found themselves a little bit. Not saying they're not perfect. They're not 2019 high-flying, 50-touchdown kind of Mahomes Chiefs. But with how good this defense has been all season, they've allowed the fourth least amount of pass yards. Over the last 4 games, only allowed 591, over the last 3 games, only 591 passing yards. Their pass defense has been very good, and their run defense has been pretty good as well. I don't think that the Packers really are able to get past 20. 23 maybe. But it is likely that the Chiefs can get to 20, it can get to 30. They put up points in the second half. They put up 17 in the second half. I understand the 3 weeks prior they hadn't scored in the second half, so that's big for them too. They have been the second best first half scoring team, but they've been about dead last in second half. So if all they have to do is correct that, they're going to regress to the mean. They are not the worst offense in the league. They're not right now the best offense in the league. They're going to get to that middle ground, which means they're going to score points in the second half. I see this game being a game where Mahomes on national television in a place he's never played before, a legendary place he's never played before, Kelsey on national television, Rashee Rice, 10 targets last week, 100-yard receiver last week, showing that he might be taking that next step into becoming their number 2 option, but their number 1 wide receiver. I know the Packers have been playing well. I understand why the line is at 6, but I just think the Chiefs can win this game by 7. 30-23. I personally have it 30-20, but I can see a 30-23, 27-20, that type of a game where they cover. They only need to win by a touchdown. I got KC -6. And then third, I've got the other NFC South division opponent, contender, I'll say. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers -5.5 against the Panthers. And why not? I understand the Panthers just fired their head coach, and we all know about that boost that you get after firing a head coach. The Raiders, we saw it this year with Josh McDaniels, but they didn't like Josh McDaniels at all. They didn't like him when he was there, clearly, and they clearly showed they didn't like him while he was gone. We've got a Panthers team who's fired their coach mid-season in back-to-back seasons. Last year they had this jolt. I don't think there is this year, though. I don't believe Frank Reich was hated in the locker room. I just think they were bad. And here's the thing with this team. So a lot of coaches typically get fired because they have more talent than what their record and what they are producing. Maybe a 7-9 or 7-10 team now. A 7-10 team is 2-15 or something along those lines. To where you're like, okay, this team should be competing mid-tier level, get a couple big wins, but they're not. This team is just bad. Miles Sanders, I thought he was going to be better this year. He hasn't been. He played really well in Philly last year. It might be more credited to the offensive line in Philly, or maybe Miles Sanders is not getting the opportunities because his offensive line in Carolina is not what it was in Philly. They have Adam Thielen, who was a number 1 with Kirk, then came a number 2 when they had Stephon Diggs, then was a number 2 when they had Justin Jefferson. And he was playing good football to start the year, mid-season, and then he's tailed off the last couple weeks. Why? They've been getting to Bryce Young. Why? Because their offensive line isn't great. They've been running Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. Other than that, you have G.J. Chark, Jonathan Mingo. This team isn't great at all. They've been pretty good against the pass this year, but I also feel like we get up on them. We just need to run the ball now. We don't have to get many points to beat this team. They can't produce points. If the Bucs can get to 25, it's a wrap. The Panthers have allowed 18 touchdowns to running backs this year, or 18 rushing touchdowns this year. That is leading the NFL. Rachaad White should be able to get in the end zone, maybe multiple times. Mike Evans, obviously a big target. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. He's going to get touches. He's going to get targets. I just don't see how the Bucs, in a must-win spot, they need this game. This game matters for the division. You've got the Falcons, who I clearly think are going to win. You've got the Saints, who I believe are going to lose to Detroit. And then you beat the Panthers. It really becomes a two-team race with you and the Falcons. I just don't see how the Bucs don't cover the 5.5. This should be a 10 to 12 point victory, especially if this Bucs team is as good as it can be, as good as it was for the first 5 weeks of the season when they were 3-1 and Baker was playing good football. You think that they should be able to wash this Panthers team. I even give them the boost. Instead of scoring 12 points, I'm going to get this game 26 to 20 in that 27 to 20-ish range. But this game, really, for the Bucs, it should be definitely over by the third quarter, and you're controlling it. A backdoor cover you could be a little bit afraid of here. Just 11-point game, they go score a touchdown just to cover it. But no, I got the Bucs minus 5.5. So for this week, I got 3 picks. I've got the Falcons minus 1.5 going to MetLife. I've got KC minus 6 going to Lambeau. And I got Tampa minus 5.5 chilling at home in Raymond James. Those are the 3 bets of the week. I've got 3 anytime touchdown scorers that I think, putting them even in a parlay, I think could be really good because I have confidence in all 3 of them. But if not, just betting them outright, I think you can profit this week off these picks. My number 1 is Tyreek Hill at minus 150. So it's Tyreek Hill. He scored a touchdown in every game but 2 this season. He scored 2 in 1. That was week 1 against the Chargers. Otherwise, he's pretty much gotten a touchdown every single week. Anytime they're within 40 yards, Tua's looking for him on a deep shot. Anytime they get within the red zone, they're looking to get the ball to Tyreek Hill. He is electric. We saw what Dak did to the Commanders on Thanksgiving last Thursday. This Commanders team, they traded their 2 best pass rushers, and you could argue their 2 best defenders in Montrezl Sweat and Chase Young. They clearly are going in a rebuild mode. They're trying to save money to go make moves elsewhere because obviously they could have signed one of them. They needed to trade one because they weren't going to retain both of them contractually, but they could have signed one of them. They decided to part with both of them. So it's looking like the Commanders aren't trying to necessarily win games, not that they're throwing games, not that they're doing anything like that, but trying to not put the best talent out there, and we'll see how it rolls. I think the Dolphins could get up big, but I do think that Tyreek Hill is going to get the ball early, and he's going to get the ball often, and a touchdown from Tyreek Hill looks pretty promising. The second one I already talked about this team. It is Rachaad White. He's at plus 110. They're at plus money for a Panthers team that's given up the most rushing touchdowns in the league this season. Rachaad White has been playing well as of late. He's got a touchdown, I believe, in 3 of his last 4 games. Been running well. I just don't see how he doesn't get in the end zone, especially second half when I think the Buccaneers are going to be up. They're not going to be just throwing the ball over the lot. They're going to get close to the red zone, and they're going to give the ball to Rachaad White to punch it home. I think him as an anytime touchdown scorer is very good. Third, Zach Moss at minus 105. Yeah, Tennessee typically has a pretty bad pass defense, but a pretty stout run defense. So off of this, you would think, well, I know Jonathan Taylor's out, but that offensive line's good, so they might be able to do something. But in a divisional game, could be a little hairy. We don't know. Well, we kind of know. It's not going to be, it may not be this exactly, but we kind of know. Jonathan Taylor was out to begin the season, I believe week 3. We saw the Titans go to Indy, and we saw Zach Moss put up 23 carries, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Colts love to run when they get in the red zone. The Colts are a physical team. They are playing for a playoff spot right now. They are currently residing in the 7th spot. You've got the Broncos on their heels. You got the Texans on their heels. One of them has to get a win this weekend because they're facing off against each other. Bills are on a bye, but you still have the Bills to worry about. You've got some teams. You've got some teams behind you. And every win counts. You being able to get a W and get to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew only gives you promise with Anthony Richardson, because he did look electric this season to start off. He just obviously got hurt early, couldn't get into a rhythm throwing wise, but with his feet, had a couple big plays, got a couple big wins. And I think Zach Moss getting to the red zone and getting in the end zone is almost a foregone conclusion. I like all 3 of these. Parlaying these all together, plus 583. So I think you can get very, very good value at plus 583 with all 3 of these guys who I'm confident will score today. So plus 583 on that. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on that I like for this week, a couple of props at receptions. And today could be a pretty big passing day for a lot of quarterbacks out there. I understand that throughout the year, the quarterback play hasn't been the greatest, but receiver play is high. My first one, minus 115, Tank Dell over 4.5 receptions. The over on that. Noah Brown is back, yes. But he is coming off an injury. We don't know how many snaps he's going to play or how effective he's going to be. Brevin Jordan's a pretty athletic tight end, but he's coming in for Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz has 10 receptions once this year. Otherwise, it's been around 4, 3, couple 2, 1, maybe a 5 here. He hasn't been huge with receptions. Tank Dell has been getting targets. I believe around 8 a game. I believe around 10 to 12 a game over the last 4 games. Tank Dell he's got to get multiple catches. I understand you've got a couple good corners there in Denver. Patrick Surtain II. I know they have good corners, but CJ Stroud looks for him. When in doubt, he's looking at Tank Dell. They've got a rapport together. I think Tank Dell can easily get over 4.5 catches. I think he could do that in a half. I think that he's on pace today maybe to get 7 or 8. Number 2, Ramondre at plus 100 to get over 3.5. I like this one a lot because you're getting plus money for it. There's no Douglas today. Bailey Zappi is starting. And Stevenson's gotten 5 catches and 4 catches, 3 catches every week. Dumping it off to Ramondre, especially with Khalil Mack, who could get home today, that's okay, he's here, let me just quickly dump it off. I don't see how Ramondre doesn't. And the Chargers' pass defense, it's not good. So I understand you might want to try to stretch the ball down the field, but I don't think Bill wants to allow him to stretch the ball down the field. It hasn't been good for either Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. Or if Malik Cunningham somehow finds his way on the field today, it's not going to be good there either. They're going to throw it underneath. I could see Ramondre having 5 or 6 catches today, but definitely over that 3.5. And then the last one, I have at minus 150, Amari Cooper over 3.5. And I know it's minus 150, so the value there might not be the greatest, but if you parlay these together, I'll give you the number on that afterwards. Amari Cooper, Joe Flacco, I know Joe Flacco's starting. Amari Cooper did call Joe Flacco dropping back poetry in motion. I believe he likes what he's seeing. He might be the best thrower of the football that he's played with thus far this year. I understand Deshaun Watson's a better quarterback, but Deshaun has not been Deshaun. DTR is not a thrower. PJ Walker is not really good. So he might be the best thrower of the football he's seen this season. And Amari, really good route runner on the outside. I know Joe Flacco hasn't played many games. He's had one big game. It will happen to be against the Browns with the Jets. Garrett Wilson went for 8 for 102 and 2 touches in that game. Joe Flacco had 4 touches in that game. If you feel the Rams are going to win, then the Browns are going to be down and they're going to have to throw. If the Browns do get up, the Rams are better against the run than the pass, then they probably are passing the ball. David Njoku is good to look at, but I think Amari Cooper, especially with the way Joe Flacco plays, he'll always love to air it out on the sideline. And when he has a great route runner like that, I could see Amari Cooper getting around 5, 6, 7 catches today, but definitely over that 3.5. So, Tank Dell over 4.5 at -115, Ramondre over 3.5 at +100, and Amari Cooper over 3.5 at -150. Parlaying those together get you at +523. I think that would be a good 3-person parlay. And that is that. This was the Nosebleeds with Keenan Warner. Last Word on NFL. Check out the Last Word on Sports channel, website. Got podcasts. Check out the Last Word on Sports website. They've got podcasts. They've got articles. They've got a bunch of great content, great writers, great people. Do a lot of great work over there. Check that out. And with that being said, good luck this weekend. I'm out.